Hey, what's up, you guys? David here, and today I have another CD collection update for you guys. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started here. First up, we have the second full length from Discordance Axis. This is entitled Yoho, I believe is how you say it. This was released in 1997. Discordance Axis is a grindcore band from New Jersey. This is a band that I got into once again thanks to Wyatt, and what really, to me, what makes Discordance Axis a standout for grindcore, in my opinion, is just three-piece band, and they've never had a bassist. And what's really impressive about Discordance Axis is just how fucking heavy and crushing they can actually be, you know, without a bassist. Just the way these guitar riffs come off, and yeah, it's just really, really impressive what they were able to do. And I feel like Wormrot, you know, since they don't have a bassist either, I feel like they took that idea from Discordance Axis. I could be wrong, but I feel like just maybe that may have been an influence on Wormrot, at least, you know, to my ears. But not their best, in my opinion. The Inalienable Dreamless is definitely their best, which I am about to show off in a minute. Unfortunately, it's not in a jewel case, it's in a DVD case, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it's a great album, crazy fucking riffs. John Chang's vocals are just absolutely fucking batshit crazy, insane. He just sounds like an absolute madman, especially his highs. My god, his highs are just insane, like I said. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite grindcore bands, like, again, thanks to Wyatt for getting me into them. But yeah, probably their second best record, like I said, behind the Inalienable Dreamless. So yeah, Discordance Axis, Yoho. And yeah, as you can see, this jewel case is not in the best condition. I got this off of Discogs. I wish I had paid a little more attention to the description to see what condition it was going to be coming in, but it plays fine, so no complaints really. And now we go to their third and final record, the Inalienable Dreamless. This was released in 2001. Like I said, that last one, did I say that? I can't remember if I did. That was released in 1997. But this is definitely their crowning achievement right here, I would say. If I were to make a list of top grindcore albums ever, this would no doubt be on it. And I feel like a lot of people would actually do the same. I mean, I see it, I read it all the time online. You know, a lot of people consider this to be not only Discordance Axis' best effort, but one of the best grindcore albums ever made. And I definitely tend to agree with that. It would be on the list along with Terrorizer's World Downfall, Wormrot's Dirge, Repulsion's Horrified, Insect Warfare, World Extermination, and some others. But, man, they really did something quite amazing here. They basically take the intensity and the aggression of Yoho and just fucking times it somehow by a million. Once again, absolutely crazy riffs. The drum work from Dave Woody is absolutely fucking fantastic, and this is where they start to throw the technicality in here, which really just gives, you know, the musicianship, really makes the musicianship of this band come out more so than ever on this release. This is where you find out that these guys were actually really great players. Now, a lot of people tend to think that, you know, a grindcore is just really easy shit to play just because, you know, it's really repetitive shit, it's fast. No. Especially not with the case of this album. And as you can see, yeah, this came in a DVD case. Once again, when I was buying this off Discogs, I should have paid a little more attention to see if it was going to come in a jewel case or not, but I thought it was going to be a CD with a DVD. But yeah, read it a bit wrong. There's the inside. Oh, also, one more thing. Most fucking deceiving album cover in the history of extreme metal. You look at this, and it looks like it's just going to be some kind of, like, fucking, you know, ambient, relaxing kind of shit based on that cover. And when the first fucking track comes on, it's just going to tear your fucking face right off. But, yeah, definitely Discordance Axis' best album, without a doubt, in my opinion. So, yeah, Discordance Axis, the Inalienable Dreamless. Next up, we go to Coffins with their March of Despair EP. This came out in 2012. Just like the Craving to Eternal Slumber EP, this is about almost 30 minutes of material and contains 6 tracks. And this is released on Hammerheart Records. By the way, it contains a cover of Death's Corpse Grinder, back when Cam Lee was still in Death. And Corpse Grinder was used later for Massacres from Beyond. So, pretty cool. But yeah, business as usual with Coffins. Crushing fucking Death Doom. You know, you got some more mid-pace, up-tempo, punky kind of stuff later on. Yeah, can't go wrong with Coffins. March of Despair. Yep. Next up, we go to A Feather and Bone. This is Bestial Hymns of Perversion. This is a new release from this year, out on Profound Lore Records. Didn't really know a whole much about this band going into them, but apparently they're a death metal band now. That's what this album contains. This is straight up death metal, but apparently they used to have a different sound on their previous records before this, which I have not heard, but I've heard they're nowhere near as good as this. So this is the one that caught my attention. But yeah, it's very solid death metal. I hear some Swedish stuff going on here. I hear a lot of incantation in here. Obviously, some of the Florida bands. Obviously, the influences are all across the board when it comes to this band. 3-piece from Denver, Colorado. So, yeah, from the same guys or from the same places. Blood Incantation, Spectral Voice, you know, those bands. These guys These guys were on Tomb Mold's tour that they just did not too long ago, which I really wish I could have made, but that unfortunately came nowhere near my area. But yeah, if you enjoy death metal in any shape or form, A Feather and Bone's Bestial Hymns of Perversion should definitely be on your in your pile to check out, because you know, of course, there's already a ton of great fucking death metal to come out this year, and I think this is definitely one of the standouts. Not as good as Tomb Mold's Manner of Infinite Forms, but, you know, like I said, along with the other great death metal releases, this should be on your list to check out. So, yeah, that is A Feather and Bone with Bestial Hymns of Perversion. I apologize about that glare. Next up, we go to Widek, or Widek. I do not know how you pronounce that, but this is a solo musician from Poland who plays a very really cool style of instrumental progressive metal. And yes, he does do the gent thing, but what I like about this guy compared to a lot of others is he doesn't really overdo the whole gent thing. He focuses a lot more on creating just really catchy rhythms and just overall songs, and really focuses on atmosphere and ambience. This is kind of one of those albums where you can put it on and just kind of like close your eyes and just you feel so weightless, and you almost kind of just feel like you're floating through space. Very just awesome production work on here. Like I said, he's a solo musician, so he writes and records everything on these albums. Yeah, so, you know, if you're looking for just some metal to just chill out and relax to, this is definitely a perfect album for that. And like I said, I really had this thing about when progressive metal is instrumental. I just think it just works out so well. But yeah, definitely one of the more interesting instrumental prog metal projects going today, mainly, like I said, because of his focus on atmosphere and ambience. This is a fucking beautiful album. Absolutely love it. This is from this year, by the way. This is called Dream Reflection. I think this is like his 4th or 5th full length, but all of his albums are recommended, highly recommended. He just put out Hidden Dimensions last year, actually, which did crack my top of 2017 list. But yeah, definitely check that out if that sounds like it is up your alley. Next up, we go to another 2018 release. This is Burial Invocation with Abiogenesis. This is a death metal band from Turkey. This is released on Dark Descent Records. Once again, this is a band that going into it, I really knew nothing about. All I knew it was a death metal album. It was a new death metal release on Dark Descent Records. That was enough to get me motivated to check it out. But this is very solid stuff. You know, Burial Invocation, once again, when it comes to, it is just pretty much, you know, solid death metal all the way through, but I think their influences are definitely all across the board when it comes to death metal. Similar to Of Feather and Bone, I hear some Swedish stuff going on here, I hear some Finnish stuff going on. Obviously, some of the classic bands like Morbid Angel, Death, Autopsy, shit like that. There's some pretty death doomy moments, and a lot of these tracks go over the 10-minute mark. So, you know, obviously they can't rely on just fucking insane riffing and blast beats the whole time, otherwise I would just get really repetitive and boring. They definitely don't. There's a lot of rhythm changes, a lot of tempo changes. They really make sure that they use the time well for these tracks. And like I said, doesn't get repetitive, doesn't get boring. Definitely keeps you interested throughout the entire listen. But yeah, once again, if you enjoy death metal in any shape or form, you definitely need to check this out. Definitely one of the standouts for death metal this year. And once again, like I said, there's already been a ton of standouts for death metal this year, but this is definitely on that list to check out. So yeah, that is Burial Invocation with Abiogenesis. Definitely go check that shit out. Next up, we go to Horrific with Your Worst Nightmare. This is the solo project of Slasher Dave from Acid Witch. Acid Witch is a band that I've just been fucking obsessing over lately, as well as Slasher Dave's work with his horror soundtrack project that's just under his name. But Horrific is... it does have a production style that's actually pretty similar to the first Acid Witch album, Witchtanic Hellucinations. And originally this came out on Razorback Recordings. This edition is put out through Hell's Headbangers. So yeah, basically this is just this is pretty similar to Acid Witch, but this is more like in the death and roll kind of style. It's straight up just 80s like heavy metal with some, you know, death vocals on top. Very catchy riffs, guitar work. Like I said, Dave does all the instruments on this, and if you appreciate the silliness and the humor of Acid Witch, you're definitely going to find that with this as well, especially on the oh yeah, I forgot, they don't have that 1 minute intro track. Apparently that was only on the Bandcamp release, or the digital Bandcamp release for some reason. They didn't put that on this version of the album for some strange reason. But still, if you enjoy the silliness and the humor of Acid Witch, that definitely is on here as well. Just about, you know, metal, you know, humor about metal and horror movies, stuff like that. Just nothing musically impressive, but just if you're just looking for something to jam out to and just an absolute fun listen, that's what this is. That's definitely what this is. So yeah, that's Horrific with Your Worst Nightmare. That came out in 2009, I believe. Next up, we go to the debut full-length from Acid Witch, Witchtanic Hellucinations. Just like Horrific's Your Worst Nightmare, this was originally out on Razorback Recordings, and this edition is put out through Hell's Headbangers, which is the label Acid Witch is currently on. Man, Acid Witch is just such a fun band to listen to. They're just kind of one of these bands that just combine everything that's just cool about metal and put it into one. These guys definitely don't stick to one sound. This is considered death doom, and I mean, yeah, there is a lot of death doom going on here, but also, of course, they have those, you know, Slasher Dave adds in those horror soundtrack keyboards, you know, like the John Carpenter or like Goblin type of stuff into here, and you know, they got the psychedelic kind of thing going on. Like I said, the death doom with the vocals and everything, but just really awesome, catchy songs, great riffs. Wish the drums were turned up a little bit more, but that's a minor complaint. And the guy that does the vocals for this album is actually the main guy behind Hooded Menace, who I don't know how to pronounce his name, so forgive me for that, but he handles the vocals on this release, whereas Slasher Dave took on role of vocalist on the other two albums. But not sure what my favorite Acid Witch album would be. Maybe this. I don't know. I love all their albums. I really do. But yeah, Acid Witch, Witchtanic, Hellucinations. This is just such a fucking blast to listen to. And next up, we go to their second full-length, Stoned, released in 2010. Again, Hell's Headbangers Records. Yeah, on their second album, they definitely kind of start to move away from the death doom a little bit, but it's still business as usual with Acid Witch, you know, combining the traditional heavy metal in here with the death metal, the stoner metal type of sound. Let's see. Dave's vocals are great on this. He's just a great frontman. Just his overall character and presence are just part of what makes this band so fun to listen to. His vocals really do bring these songs to life. Once again, killer riffs on here. Absolutely great, catchy songs. I mean, that 9-track Metal Movie Marijuana Massacre Meltdown. When you look at tracks like that, you know exactly what you're getting into, especially, you know, for Acid Witch. So, yeah, Acid Witch, Stoned. Great shit. And once again, we have Acid Witch with their third full-length, Evil Sound Screamers. This came out last year. Honestly, the first time that I listened to this, I was not too impressed with it for whatever reason. I love it now. I think just compared to Stoned and Witchtanic Hellucinations, it's got kind of like a lo-fi sound, and I wish the mix was turned up a little more, because you really have to crank this thing up quite a bit to hear it pretty well. So yeah, that's a minor complaint, but like I said, I really do love it now. This one is a concept that is just all about Halloween. The intro track, Scare Tape, really just sets the entire mood for the rest of the album. Having like, kind of sounding like an old school kind of like announcement or commercial kind of thing, where it's a guy basically explaining like the dangers of Halloween. And another minor complaint, I wish I didn't put so many like small filler tracks on here and would have put more like full-length songs, but I definitely love the Enter at Your Own Risk 1 minute track or whatever, because that's a perfect setup for the song Mutilation Mansion. But yeah, it's everything you want from Acid Witch still. You know, the death metal. Well, actually, no, the death metal's not really on here anymore. This comes off more as kind of like a stoner doom kind of album. Of course, you know, a lot of the traditional heavy metal influences are still present on here. Slasher Dave's vocal performance and keyboard performance is just top notch as always. This might be my favorite looking cover of all the Acid Witch albums. That's really fucking cool. And this is just a perfect album to spin for Halloween. And of course, you know, this is the middle of summer right now, and like I said, I'm obsessing over this band right now, but I don't care. I'll listen to any band at any time as long as it's music I enjoy. But yeah, can't wait to spin this again this coming Halloween. So yeah, Acid Witch, Evil Sound Screamers. The last album I had to talk about here, this is Dragon Guardian with聖魔剣ヴァルキュリアス. Obviously, it doesn't say that on the case or anything, because this is a Japanese release. Dragon Guardian is a symphonic power metal band from Japan whose lyrics are just based on, you know, anime, fantasy, you know, sword fights, dragons, magic, that kind of shit. What I like about Dragon Guardian over a lot of other power metal bands is just I don't know, because they're basically like the Japanese version of Rhapsody of Fire, if you're familiar with them, but just, I guess you could say they're like the weeaboo version of Rhapsody of Fire, just like I said, because all their stuff is based off, like it is fantasy stuff, but it's based off, anime and everything. Arthur Brave is the main guy behind this project. He does have some guests who always appear. Teru from the Visual K power metal band Versailles is featured on here. I'm a big fan of Versailles. Love them. But yeah, just like I said, it's a symphonic power metal band. I love the orchestration on here, the symphonic elements. Awesome melodies. The vocals are absolutely amazing. Whoever, I can't remember the name of this girl, but whoever she is, similar to Unlucky Morpheus's vocalist, Fuki, she's just got one of those voices where she can be epic and powerful and just really sweet and tender with her vocal style, and it just works absolutely perfect for this album. This is one of my favorite power metal bands of all time, and this album is probably one of my favorite power metal albums of all time. Yeah, I guess that's all I really had to say about it. One more thing, actually, I guess I do have one more thing to mention is, like I said, this has a lot of anime kind of themes going on here, and in the middle of the songs, there's some anime style like narration in Japanese, and I understand a lot of people are probably going to get a turn off to that and find it annoying, but if you can get past that and you enjoy power metal, I definitely highly recommend you check this band out, because they do not get the recognition they deserve, in my opinion. I had to get this from Discogs because their stuff is just nearly impossible to get anywhere else, because I had to order this all the way from like Taiwan, I think. But very thankful to the seller for selling me this, because this is an album that I never thought I would get to own on CD. I thought I was just going to be stuck with a digital copy for the rest of my life. But yeah, this is killer shit. Absolutely love it. Go check that out if that is up your alley. And that will be it. So thank you guys for subscribing, commenting, watching, any of that good shit. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.